A storm brews in the distance. Shadows stretch across the walls, and the silence is broken only by the sound of hurried footsteps. A voice, trembling with both fear and hope, whispers into the dark, "This night will change everything." The camera moves through a dimly lit corridor, lit only by flickering candles. The light bends and dances on stone walls as if the house itself is holding its breath. In the background, we hear faint voices, urgent, hushed, yet full of worry. The air is thick, heavy, with a sense of waiting, as though time itself refuses to move forward until this night's fate is decided. The focus falls on a single door, closed tightly, hiding a world of pain and courage behind it. From inside, the muffled cries of Julia reach out, sharp and raw, carrying both suffering and strength. Her hands grip the sheets, knuckles white, sweat dripping from her brow. She knows this moment is not only about giving life, it is about survival. In her chest beats not just her own heart, but the heart of a mother determined to protect her child, no matter what waits outside, around her. Women move quickly, their hands steady, but their eyes betraying the weight of what is happening. They whisper prayers under their breath, calling on strength, calling on mercy as the storm outside grows louder. A gust of wind rattles the windows, almost as if the world beyond is trying to break into the room. The sound of the rain beats like a drum against the walls, syncing with Julia's labored breaths. As the scene unfolds, the trailer cuts to wide, faceless shots, soldiers tightening their armor in the rain, a letter sealed with blood-red wax being thrown into a fire, and a figure standing alone in the woods, watching the house with an unreadable gaze. Each image builds the sense that Julia's labor is not a private struggle, but one tied to the fate of many. Her child, though not yet born, already carries a weight heavier than anyone can bear. The music swells, low strings trembling, a slow drum pounding like a heartbeat. The voiceover cuts through, deep and steady. In the silence of night, one life enters the world as others prepare to leave it. The words linger, echoing into the storm. Inside the room, Julia clutches a rosary, her lips moving in prayer, but her voice breaking under the weight of pain. The midwife leans close, urging her to stay strong, reminding her that she has come too far to let fear win now. Every push, every cry, every tear brings her closer to the moment that will change her forever. The camera returns to symbolic images, candlelight flickering until it almost burns out, a drop of blood staining white. Linen, the shadow of a man walking down the hallway with purpose. Each cut tells the audience that this birth is not just about family. It is about destiny. The section ends with Julia screaming, the sound cutting abruptly into silence, replaced by the baby's cry in the distance. The cry pierces through the storm, through the shadows, through the silence. It is fragile, yet powerful. It is the beginning of something no one can yet understand. A final voiceover whispers, "A child is born, but at what cost?" The screen fades to black. The storm outside grows heavier, thunder rolling like the anger of unseen gods. The baby's first cry has echoed, but peace does not follow. Instead, silence returns, sharp and uneasy, as though the walls themselves are listening. Julia lies exhausted, her body trembling, her strength nearly spent. Yet even in her weakened state, her eyes shine with the fragile light of hope. She clutches the child to her chest, whispering words of protection, promising safety in a world that has never known mercy. The camera does not linger on her face. Instead, it turns to symbols, her hand covering the baby's head, her arm tightening. In a protective embrace, the flickering candle casting long, trembling shadows across the room. The infant's cry is soft now, almost drowned by the howl of the wind. Outside, lightning reveals the silhouettes of riders moving through the trees. Unseen watchers, cloaked in darkness, carrying secrets of their own. The voiceover rises again, low and foreboding. Every birth is a beginning. But in this house, beginnings are also warnings. Cut to a series of faceless images, a hand slamming a letter onto a wooden table, the seal broken in haste. Soldiers loading muskets, their movements sharp and merciless. A figure riding furiously by candlelight, the ink splattering like spilled blood. Each image pulses with danger, telling the audience that Julia's child has been born into a storm larger than any one family. Inside the chamber, the midwives exchange uneasy glances. Their whispers carry more than concern for Julia. They speak of fear for what this child represents. One woman grips a crucifix tightly, as though warding off a curse. Another looks toward the window where the storm rages, muttering that such weather can only mean the heavens are restless. The baby stirs and begins to cry again, louder this time, as if sensing the unease. Julia pulls the child closer, her strength returning in fragments, fueled not by rest but by the unbreakable force of a mother's love. Her whispered words are half lullaby, half vow. No harm will come to you. Not while I breathe. The trailer shifts suddenly, quick, jagged cuts of conflict rising beyond the chamber. Men gather in secret, their faces hidden but their intentions clear. A blade is sharpened. A door is barred shut. A scroll is burned until nothing remains but ashes. The soundscape rises with tense strings and the drums return, pounding faster now, like the rhythm of war marching closer. Voiceover, sharper, urgent. Every choice is a chain. Every birth a bond of blood, but blood binds, and blood betrays. The images grow darker still, a lone rider galloping into the night, lightning striking behind him. A candle extinguished with a sudden breath, leaving only smoke curling in the air. A cradle rocking gently in an empty room, waiting for a child that may not be safe. Back in Julia's chamber, the midwife suddenly closes the shutters tight, as though to block the world outside from entering. Yet her eyes show the truth. Danger is already here. Julia senses it too. Though her body is weak, she forces herself upright, clutching her child as if preparing for a battle only she can fight. Her determination is clear, even without a single word. The trailer slows, the sound falling into a heavy silence, broken only by the baby's cry echoing through the night. That fragile cry becomes the heartbeat of the scene, layered over images of unrest and shadowy figures preparing for what is to come. The section ends with a sharp image, a hand dripping with blood gripping the hilt of a sword, followed by the faint sound of a door creaking open. The camera cuts to black just as the storm outside cracks with thunder. Final whisper of the section. A child's cry may bring hope, or summon ruin. Asterisk, the storm has not passed. Instead it deepens, the thunder crashing closer, the rain beating harder, each drop against the window like a drum of war. Julia clutches her newborn tighter, her breath uneven, her strength nearly gone, yet her spirit unbroken. Around her the room is heavy with fear. The midwives move in silence now, their faces grim, as if they too understand that the child's arrival has not brought peace, but has awakened forces waiting in the shadows. The camera drifts away from the chamber, out into the dark corridors of the house. A single candle flickers against stone walls, the flame bending as if it too senses the unease. A shadow moves across the wall, someone unseen, lingering too long where they should not be. The sound of boots echoes faintly, deliberate and slow. Someone is coming. The trailer cuts quickly, a lock snapping into place, a key turning in haste. A heavy door sealing off secrets best left in darkness. Outside, lightning reveals the silhouettes of armed men gathering near the edge of the woods, their torches hidden, their eyes fixed on the house. The air is thick with tension, the kind that clings to the skin and refuses to let go. Voiceover rises, deep and certain. Every oath carries a price, and every life born in blood calls forth enemies. The music sharpens, strings cutting like knives. Quick flashes fill the screen, a hand clutching a dagger, the blade reflecting candlelight. A scroll unrolled across a table, names written. In haste, blood dripping onto the floorboards, staining wood dark. These images are faceless, yet they speak louder than words. Betrayal has already begun its work. Back in the chamber, Julia senses it. Though weak, her instincts rise above exhaustion. She shifts, pulling her child closer, her hand trembling as she reaches for a rosary on the knitstand. She whispers to her baby, her words soft but resolute, "I will not let them take you." The soundscape grows harsher. Wind slams against the shutters. Doors creak within the house as though unseen hands push them open. Somewhere, a glass shatters, the echo sharp and piercing. The midwives exchange fearful looks, one pressing a finger to her lips, signaling silence. The baby stirs again, his cry filling the room, innocent yet dangerously loud. The trailer cuts outward to the world beyond. A hooded rider gallops through the night, the horse's hooves splashing mud across the ground. He carries something, perhaps a message, perhaps a warning, but the urgency is clear. The child's birth has already reached ears it was never meant to. The storm is no longer just weather. It is a herald announcing that nothing will remain. The same voiceover, rising with force. Blood binds us to love, but it also binds us to fate. The imagery sharpens, a rosary snapping in half, beads scattering across the floor. A letter torn apart, its words unread, but its meaning irreversible. A hand closing over a baby's blanket, pausing. Trembling as though deciding between mercy and betrayal, the camera returns to Julia. Exhaustion weighs on her, but her eyes burn with defiance. She refuses to surrender to fear. Even as the walls shake with thunder, even as shadows creep closer, she clutches her newborn like a shield. She knows that the child is not just her son, he is a symbol, a key, perhaps even a weapon in the eyes of others. That knowledge fuels her resolve. The music swells to its peak. Drums thunder like the storm, strings rise in chaos, and the baby's cry threads through it all. Julia presses her forehead to the child's, whispering words not for the midwives. Not for fate, but for the child alone. Your life is mine to protect, and I will protect it with my last breath. The trailer cuts violently to black. For a moment, only silence lingers. Then, a single sound emerges, the slow creak of a door opening, followed by the metallic scrape of a blade leaving its sheath. The section ends with a final voiceover, chilling and certain. Every beginning demands a sacrifice. The night has not ended. It stretches on, endless and merciless, as though the storm itself refuses to let the world see the dawn. Inside the chamber, Julia holds her child close, her body weak but her spirit aflame. The baby's soft cry rises above the storm, innocent, yet commanding, the sound of a life demanding to be heard. It is the sound of hope, and the sound that draws enemies nearer. The camera drifts away from her, moving down the dark corridors of the house. The sound of footsteps echoes measured, deliberate, each step carrying the weight of intent. A door creaks open slowly, the candlelight bending as the air shifts. Shadows stretch across the walls, long and jagged, as though the house itself is torn between shelter and betrayal. The trailer cuts to faceless images, a blade dripping with fresh rain, lifted in silence. A hand pushing open the shutters, the storm's wind rushing in. A drop of wax hardening on a letter sealed in haste. Each flash adds to the sense that the child's birth has already rewritten the fate of everyone tied to this house. Julia whispers to her baby, her words trembling but steady, "You are my blood, and for you I will fight the world." Her voice is soft, but it is the vow of a mother-turned-warrior. Even in her weakness, she clings to the strength of love, knowing it may be the only shield she has left. Outside, the riders have gathered. Torches blaze now, no longer hidden. The storm cannot smother their fire, and their silhouettes loom against the lightning. The sound of hooves stomping the wet earth grows louder, like a drumbeat of war. A single figure steps forward, raising a hand. The others wait in silence, their faces unseen, their purpose clear. The child must not live in peace. Voiceover, deep and resonant. When blood is born, kingdoms tremble. For in every new life there is power, and in power there is fear. The music rises, chaotic strings clashing with the thunder, a heartbeat of drums underneath. Quick cuts fill the screen, a rosary crushed underfoot, beads scattering into the mud. A sword raised, lightning striking behind it. A cradle rocking violently in an empty room as if touched by unseen hands. Each image burns into the audience's mind. The child's future is already threatened, and those sworn to protect him may not survive the night. Inside the chamber, the midwives move with urgency, bolting the door shut, whispering prayers, glancing toward Julia as if awaiting her command. But Julia's eyes are not on them, her gaze is fixed on her child. She holds him higher, closer to her chest, as though presenting him to the storm itself, daring it to try and take him. The trailer slows. The sound fades to a single heartbeat echoing through the silence. Julia's breath, the baby's whimper. The storm's distant growl all melt into the rhythm of that heartbeat. The camera lingers on her trembling hand, brushing across the child's tiny fingers. For a moment, time feels frozen, suspended between life and death, love and ruin. Then chaos erupts. The sound of wood splintering, the door shattering under. Force, shadows flood into the corridor, torches casting jagged light against the walls. A scream pierces the air, followed by the clash of steel. The music explodes, the storm roaring in unison. Julia tightens her hold on the child, pulling him beneath the folds of cloth, hiding him from the world that seeks him. Voiceover, sharp and final. Every beginning demands a sacrifice. And this night, blood will pay for blood. The trailer cuts violently through a final series of faceless, symbolic images. A hand letting go of a sword, the blade crashing to the ground. A candle flickering out, leaving only smoke curling in the dark. A baby's cry echoing louder, drowning out thunder and screams alike. The screen fades to black. Then, the title slams onto the screen. Outlander, Blood of My Blood, Episode 6. The music stops. Silence holds for a single heartbeat, and a whisper closes the trailer. Every birth is a beginning. And a warning.